Hey, what is going on, guys? Today I'm sharing with you how and why you should try out Indy cars in sim racing. If you saw my Formula E video on this, I'll leave an iCard above if you haven't. It's going to be pretty much a very similar concept and style of video. I'm going to be going over all of the places you can experience Indy cars and Indy tracks in sim racing. We're covering the three best and the three main sims, in my opinion, that have IndyCar content in them, and we'll be ranking them from, like, not worst, I don't think would be the right word, but like the least full experience to the most full experience. So without further ado, let's hop right into this. We're going to be starting out in rFactor 2. Now, this is actually very recent. rFactor 2 just got its IndyCar Dallara IR18, the 2022 IndyCar with the aero screen. I guess it'd be 2020, but you get my point. They just added that at the beginning of this year, and most recently they have added Long Beach, which is an IndyCar track, in their Q2 DLC drop. As well as Long Beach, their other PBR shaded track that they have that IndyCar actually races at is in fact Indianapolis, and they have the oval as well. So you can technically get an Indy 500 going in RF2. What's super nice as well is that these cars come with all of the 2022 liveries by default, so you can immediately just throw on some AI on, I would assume you would want Long Beach or Indianapolis and just go ham, but it is an open sim. You can put the car, of course, on wherever you want, so if you want to take them to Spa or the Nordschleife, then you are also free to do that. The first gripe with this, though, comes in as I've heard from some IndyCar drivers that the RF2 Indy cars just don't really feel perfectly right. They're not too far off, but they just have a couple things about them and their handling that just doesn't feel fully natural to the pros, so that is definitely something to note. But in terms of us sim racers, they are fun to drive, in my opinion, and I know rFactor 2 is like pretty expensive. Is it on a sale actually right now? So if you need to pick up rFactor 2, then definitely now's the time to do it. But overall, I think it's definitely the most full experience on this list, mainly due to its track selection. If you're going for just the Studio 397 PBR shaded tracks, which are the ones that look the best, you pretty much only have for real-life IndyCar tracks Indy and Laguna Seca. They also have Daytona and things like that, which is a little bit less realistic, but you can definitely feel free to throw it around there. If you want a more international experience, then I guess it would also be better if you want to go to like Donington Park or things like that, but I think the next option that we have coming up can do that as well, and technically all of them can pretty much. You can take them to whatever circuit you want to go on, so yeah, point is, rFactor 2, it's a great experience. If you have rFactor 2 and have the DLC, I highly recommend you check it out, but if you don't have it yet and you want to try out Indy cars, maybe the next two are for you. And that next one would, of course, be Assetto Corsa. Now, you actually have two flavors to pick from. You have the VRC Formula NA 2021 and the RSS Formula America's 2021. Some quick pros and cons. In my opinion, I think the VRC car drives a bit better than the RSS car. It also comes with the short oval kit, which is very nice, which it looks very similar to the road kit, just with a little bit like less wing flaps on the front and rear wing. And of course, it comes with the super speedway package, which is what they race at the Indy 500, and the RSS one also comes with that as well. It just doesn't have the short oval package. Although if you do want 2022 skins, the RSS car is going to be the way to go. I also made a video on an IndyCar mod pack, so if you want to check that out, I'll leave an iCard above. If you get the Race Sim Studio car, the VRC cars have 2021 skins, but if having the new current day liveries is what really matters to you, then your only real shot is going to be the Race Sim Studio car. I personally use the VRC one the most, so I'm going to be talking about that one from now on. It drives really, really nicely. I think it's a lot more comparable to the iRacing one. The iRacing one just feels a little bit different, but as a whole, iRacing feels a bit different to Assetto Corsa, so I can't like really completely compare them, but it definitely feels nice. It feels realistic. It feels grippy at high speeds, but it also has a bit of sketchiness on lower speed stuff, and overall, it really does feel kind of like a Formula 2 car, and that's definitely a compliment. They're really nice to drive. And the VRC one also, in my opinion, has the best sounds out of any of the Indy cars that you can experience that I'm covering here today. And of course, with the Assetto Corsa, there are a ton of super high quality track mods. You can pretty much get the full IndyCar schedule on Assetto Corsa. Road America, you can have some more fictional ones, but not too far out of the realm of possibility, like Watkins Glen. You have VRC's Texas Motor Speedway. You have Indy, of course. Laguna Seca comes with the game. There's a ton of cool IndyCar tracks to race, but in my opinion, it's not the #1 experience just because of the, quite frankly, behemoth that's coming up in #1, and you probably already know what it is. But overall, if you have the Assetto Corsa mods, again, they're like $3 to $4 for the car mods. You can pick either one, and besides that, like, pretty much all the tracks are free unless you buy VRC's Barber in Texas, and for $5, you got an amazing IndyCar sim. Download some of the 2021/2022 skins, and you're on your way. Now, this might ruffle a little bit of feathers, but yes, iRacing, in my opinion, is the best IndyCar experience in sim racing. First of all, if you want to race Indy cars online, there you go. That's what you do in iRacing. You race people online, but of course iRacing does also have AI, and it is some of, if not the best AI in sim racing. So even if you want to throw it offline, there are a ton of fun races to be had. The biggest problem with iRacing, of course, like everything with it, is the cost, the subscription, plus, you know, the $12 IndyCar and then $14 per every single track. They have a lot of them. They have a lot of the ovals especially, but it's going to cost you some money. But in my opinion, if you do have the cash, this kind of goes for all of iRacing in my opinion. If you have it, it is definitely worth it. These cars are so fun to drive, and of course, sadly, it just passed, so you can't do it anymore, but you can buy it for next year, the Indy 500, even though it didn't go too amazingly for me. For those of you who were there for the stream, you know what I'm talking about. It was still a ton of fun, and you definitely get a very complete IndyCar experience in iRacing, and at least from what I've heard from a lot of the drivers, while again, the iRacing car isn't perfect, I don't think sim racing is at a stage where we can fully 100% get a car to feel exactly like it does in real life. The iRacing one is the closest. But now you've heard all the options, you're probably wondering, why should I experience Indy cars in sim racing? Well, first of all, they are a ton of fun to drive. If Formula 1 cars feel too boring for you to race around, and I have heard this before, just because they're these aero monsters, you don't really have to think about driving them as much in sims. You can kind of just plant your foot and they'll go. These are a lot more rewarding to drive, in my opinion, I think would be the word I would describe it with. When you nail a lap, it is a lot more satisfying, in my opinion, than doing it in a Formula 1 car. And if you're willing to dip your feet in, the ovals are a super fun and unique experience as well. Even over the course of the 200 laps of the Indy 500, I learned so much on how you set up passes around there and the draft and everything like that. It is a very unique experience, and if you don't do oval racing and sim racing, that's definitely an experience you need to try. And even if you do NASCAR and things like that, IndyCar is very different. And then, of course, you have the short ovals as well, like the Milwaukee Mile and Gateway and things like that that are constantly on iRacing's track rotation, where the Indy cars are just blisteringly fast around there. It is a super fun thing to do, whether it's online or offline. Just racing Indy cars, in my opinion, is just Formula 1, but more entertaining. And that might ruffle some feathers, but that's just my opinion. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Let me know your experience with IndyCar in sim racing. And if you have anything else that you would like to see covered in this type of video, maybe NASCAR or something, I don't know, then leave your ideas down below. But thank you for watching, and I will see you all in the next one. Have a good one, guys.